Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. Let's talk about what happens when you have shoulder pain or bilateral, which means both sides of knee pain or weakness, and what do we need to look for with that? And we're going to talk shoulder pain specifically with planks because I had a great question um, from someone on Instagram regarding what to do and what exercises they could do for shoulder pain when doing a plank. Um, if you don't know me, I'm Laura Turner. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I'm a strength coach and I'm a certified functional strength coach. And I'm passionate about helping cheerleaders improve performance, reduce injuries, and stay on the mat so that they can stay cheering for life. And I'm also passionate about correcting movement to make sure that we are doing things correctly and maybe needing to regress. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't progress as you're going, but you do need to pay attention to what your body is doing and learn what your body feels like as you're doing an exercise or an activity. Because number one, if it hurts, we need to potentially change how we're doing it. But number two, there's a lot of things we can do to make you stronger and move better with just a little tweak. So let's talk about what happens if you have shoulder pain when you're doing a plank. And it actually flows very well into a bilateral hip weakness because most of the time it's going to be because your core isn't strong enough. And I know we blame everything on the core. And not everything is core related. But that's what when I look at something on both sides, that's off. So if both knees are going in, if both shoulders, don't have full range of motion, or if both shoulders are having pain, what is going on centrally that's making something happen on either side? So in a plank position, it is a big shoulder exercise. You are going to work your shoulders, whether you're in a regressed push-up like on hands and knees, or in a medium push-up, medium plank, not push-up, in a quadruped on hands and knees plank, or in a push-up position, so you're out and your arms are straight like this, or if you're down on your elbows like this. Any one of them is going to work the shoulders, and we need to get some shoulder blade stability in them. We also mostly need core stability with them. And if your core isn't strong enough, if you're not able to really hold because you're not strong in the center, then you're going to develop discomfort somewhere. So for the shoulders, what we're going to do is really making sure that, if I like to regress and start in the quadruped position because I think that's the baseline. If they can't do that, then we need to regress them onto the back, maybe do some dead bugs, and do, other like shoulder raises, to work more like stable core while working the others. But if we really want to work planks and we want to get that weight bearing because it's excellent for cheerleaders who are either basing or flying because it's going to help their core, it's going to help being able to get into a loaded position. But they're not quite ready to do an elbow plank or a push-up plank, then go on to hands and knees. Make sure the hands are set up directly under the shoulders and the knees are directly underneath the hips. From there, you lift your knees up off the floor about a quarter of an inch, and you're just going to work on holding there, making sure you can breathe. Got to own your breath. Now, one thing I see cheerleaders do all the time is they extend their neck. So they're here and their arms are out straight and their neck is extending because they're getting tired, or their butt's going way up in the air and they're not able to maintain that tabletop that we want in all three positions. If that's the case, they're fatiguing. If we keep pushing through it, they're going to develop pain. So take a break. You can do sets of 3 seconds to 5 seconds. Work on your exhale for as long as you can up in that stunt, and build up over time. When they can do 3 sets of 30 seconds easily and just nail it and own it, then go up into the push-up position. And then when they can do 3 sets of 30 seconds there, go down onto the elbows. And then from there, you can work on reaching and doing leg stuff and all this stuff. So you don't have to work on holding a plank for 2 minutes. It's stupid to do that. And I call out anybody that wants you to do that because it's just, there's no need. We don't need to hold anything for 2 minutes straight. Anyways, I digress. So the next thing we're going to look at, besides keeping that chin tucked, neck long, shoulders out of your ears so they're relaxed. And then we're going to think about getting the shoulder blades into our back pockets. That's going to help provide some scapular stability. It engages the muscles on the inside of our shoulders, engages our lats, and it helps to just give that cue. So if they can't find that position. And I find a lot of people lately can't really find that isolated down and back position without either extending through the ribs or arching their lower back, or just staying in a protracted where the shoulders are forward and rounded shoulder position. So if they can't get that scapular retraction, then we regress. We may do some scapular exercises where we're they're called CARs in the functional range conditioning program, which I haven't taken. So it's just stuff that I've seen and worked with, and done my own mobility stuff. But it's basically moving your joints through range of motion, through full range of motion in both directions. So for shoulder blades, we're going to shrug our shoulders up to our ears. We're going to roll them back and down, then down into the back pockets, and then allow them to roll forward. And then you repeat in the opposite direction. Roll back, go down, go back, go up, and roll forward. Starting in a seated position is relatively easier. And then we can do it harder and have your hands out straight. If you can't do that, then regress and go back to no weight. So hands out straight, and then we can do it in the loaded position, in the hands and knees position again. And it's the same thing. Shrug up, roll back, go down and forward, down, back, up, and forward. And working on isolating those motions. That's going to get the shoulder blade stability. Now we think traditional core, it's your abdominal muscles, your transverse abdominis, your rectus abdominis, your internal and external obliques, your lower back muscles, your multifidi. Those are your intrinsic core. Those are reflexive stability. They really need to be super strong to do everything. Your external obliques are not intrinsic core, but then you have extrinsic core, which they support your core, your glutes, your lats, your quadratus lumborum, which is the muscle on the side of your waist. And so if any of those are not functioning optimally, the core stability might be a little bit off. So working on your lats is really important if you want to decrease some shoulder pain in a plank, because you've got to engage. You've got to get those shoulder blades down and kind of really work the back of the arm and the lats. It's hard to coordinate all of that. And it's really important if they are having pain, you need to regress a little bit and go in the easier route. If they can't do it functionally in a quadruped position, you need to regress that more. Over the course of the next week, maybe in the next couple of days, I'm going to do some exercises I'll talk about some different versions of planks that can help shoulder stability, as well as regressing. If you can't do a quadruped plank, what other exercises can you do to strengthen your core and strengthen your shoulders so that you can work up to doing a plank? So be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. It'll be all over the place. And then I'll also get into some other upper back exercises. We'll do some more of the CARs, so you can see more of a full video and some other upper back strength exercises. As far as carrying over into lower body, again, if I'm seeing something on both sides, so if both knees are caving in, there can be a lot of reasons for that. It can be generally I look to the hips, and do the hips have enough strength to pull our legs apart and to stabilize in that position? That can be driven from the foot also. Is the foot strong enough to be able to get to the outside, and can it actually not so that you're rolling out, but more that we have a level ground and a nice tripod in stance? And so we're going to look at, what does the mobility look like? What does it look like when they squat? If the knees are going in, what do they look like first when they go down onto one knee? Can they set up with the knee directly underneath the hip? If not, it's a hip problem and maybe a core problem. Definitely a core problem if it's both sides. But if that's solid, then we're going to look more to the ankles and create more ankle mobility. And that'll help determine, where your exercises are. There's a lot that we need to do. So again, both sides, we're going to look at core. Can we get into those planks? Can we do side planks? Because maybe if the knees are going in, we're going to look a little bit more to the side to side plane, which is called the frontal plane. So we're going to look at the core muscles that do that, the obliques, the quadratus, your transverse and your low back muscles also help with that. But those are the obliques and the quadratus are probably your primary, as well as the hip abductors, the glute medius, the glute minimus, your rotational muscles. This is not meant to be an anatomy lesson, although I think it helps just to know the names of things as we go. So if you have questions, please, send me an email. I can explain more. But We want to work the muscles on the outside of the legs. Traditionally, people do clamshells and sidestepping with a band. I'm not a fan of them anymore, although I do still sometimes program them because they are relatively easy to learn. The key is really making sure we're stacked up and getting into a centrated position, and that we work muscles to fatigue through full range of motion, and build the strength that way. You can work on some isometrics. I really love half kneeling positions to strengthen the hips because it takes a foot out of the equation. It works on your single leg balance. You can then work on your core with doing some belly presses or chops and lifts, which are pulling down or pulling up, keeping everything still and not letting yourself wobble. And then from there, getting into, once they're able to do that, like getting into the single leg bridges, split squats. Once they can own a split squat, get them up into a rear foot elevated split squat. I have videos of these all on my YouTube page, and I've put them up on social media. But if you want more, if you want me to send you some of how to do these exercises, just drop me a message, and I'm happy to do that, put some stuff together there. Not everything is going to be appropriate for everybody, and that's one reason I encourage people to work with a coach who looks at the form and make sure that they're ready to do it, because it's hard to tell, oh yeah, they're doing it and they're just cranking through, but are they actually being effective as they are strengthening and doing that? There can be a case made for just letting yourself do it and kind of letting things fail and wobble a little. I don't think things have to be 1000% perfect, but it has to be pretty near close to perfect, especially if we're going to ask them to load into a stunt and be in a higher position or have somebody holding somebody, because we want that stability to carry over and to, not put somebody at risk. So, there can be a lot of different exercises when somebody has those knees going in, but basically the bottom line is both that and shoulder stability in a plank position likely means we need to look at the core. And how do you determine if it is core versus not? Again, we're going to look at how you move. What's your trunk motion look like? Can you stand on one leg? And can you breathe and own the movements as you're doing them? Because if you can't breathe, if you're holding your breath while you're trying to do exercise, or if you're compensating and getting into that hyperextended position, you're just not doing your body a service. You're doing a big disservice and really going to create more issues down the road. And it's not going to build the strength that we need to create that. Being aware of the knees going in, called valgus, that is important. Like there's a level that's, we need to pay attention to. So for female athletes, that's one of their big triggers for an ACL injury, when they don't have that strength there to keep their knee in line with their toe, and that, not letting it wobble too much. So, it is important to do that stability work and find out, is it the ankle, is it the hip, and what do we need to work on? And it's work in progress. I talk about this all the time. Strength training, like I talked about in my webinar yesterday, strength training changes take about 6 weeks to really take hold. You get neuromuscular control in a shorter time, but it takes repetition over time and building strength over and over and over again to really make a difference in the control and seeing what we want to see out in the actual on the mat. So bottom line, something's going on both sides. Work on your core, regress it. If there's more to core exercises than crunches and planks. There are dead bugs, there are chops and lifts, there is breathing, which is your baseline core. There are ball slams, there are, even squats is going to work on the core when you have to maintain the strength. There can be a case made for doing band work on the outside of the hips as you're squatting to kind of give some cues, or I like to do manual resistance and just, cue them to either stay away from my hand or push into my hand so that they get that feel for that without having that external cue, without having just having a band on there. But the band can work too, and just getting some strength cues and reflexive neuromuscular facilitation and reminders. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I do offer one-on-one strength coach and as well as group coaching. So there's different options to work with me and get more assessed and find out what you need. And if that's something that interests you, there's information in the links below, but you can always send me a message and we can talk, set up a free call, and let's figure out if this is the right program for you, or if if no, you're on the right track, keep going, and just tweak this a little bit. And if you're not ready to quite work with me, I also offer a mobility screen, movement screen, which I'll send you a video of exercise movements to do, and you send me the video back, and then I'll write up an exercise program for you. And that can be a great starting point. It can be your warm up. You can do something every day at home, and it can really start to the purpose of it is to help increase body awareness and start to get that baseline core down, and hip stability down, so that you're ready to go and do what we want to do. So there's lots of ways to improve this, and just follow me on social media, get one of my free guides, see what you need to work on. There's lots of different exercises out there. Check out YouTube also. I did say in my strength program yesterday, like, all of us put up exercises on our on our social media, and not all the exercises are appropriate for everyone. So if something doesn't feel right, don't keep doing it. Either reach out and ask me. I can direct you to somebody if you need more specific guidance that's closer in your area, or that might be more appropriate for you. So don't keep pushing through to just get through an exercise, because it will just set you backwards. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks again for listening. I do have a big favor to ask. If any of this podcast is helpful, could you please like, share, and review? And let me know, if you find the information helpful, because that helps me to know what you want to hear more of. So like the podcast, save it, subscribe to it. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, same thing. And share with somebody who might need to hear this as well, because the more people reach, the longer cheerleaders are going to stay cheering and just keep pushing limits and being awesome, and making the world aware of the athletes that we are. Have a great week. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe it out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to, and as my friend Drew Kelleher used to say, you're responsible for your own vibes. So go get the day.